You're listening to the Business Wealth Impact Podcast, your source for empowering information and cutting-edge ideas from the world's top minds. I'm your host, Jeanne Amlour, founder of seven-figure coaching company, Jeanne Amlour International. Join me on a journey to unleash your potential and create your highest success. Welcome to Business Wealth Impact. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode. We have Dr. Patricia Timerman here today. She's a psychotherapist and author of the book, Why Are We Fighting? Great question. Actionable Strategies for Effective Communication. And she is going to share a lot about this today, about why are we fighting and to stop the fighting. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Not at all. So let's dig right into this. I'm fascinated by the title because that's a good question. Why are we fighting? Can you share a little bit with us why we are fighting, how to stop it?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I've noticed a pattern is that we tend to just miscommunicate a lot, or things get lost in translation. Like sometimes I'm saying something to be funny, but the other person receives it as passive aggressiveness, right? So then the response is very different from the intention. And sometimes instead of us being like, oh, no, I was just, like joking, now it becomes a serious thing. And I notice a lot of that. So in observing communications, both in my own relationships, and when you look at the book, I talk a lot about my anecdotal experiences, as well as working with clients. I noticed that there are internal and external factors in communication. So the internal factors are our intention and our perception, right? My intention, only I know my intentions, right? For all of the actions that I take, I know what is the intention and the expectation of how it's going to be received. But perception, which is also an internal factor, is internal to the observer or the receiver. And the thing is that we don't necessarily know how they are going to receive it. We assume it's going to be as we intended to. The only external factor is the action itself. Our actions do not have a universal meaning. It can mean different things to different people. Hence the name of my model being the IAP model, intention, action, perception. So the easiest way to explain it is where this was birthed from, which is in my relationship with my husband many years ago. We had a fight, and in the fight, I walked out. In my mind, me walking out meant you better follow me to show me that you care. If you don't follow me, it means you do not care. And he didn't follow me. Which of course made me even more upset. And when I got more upset, then he came out and I asked, like, why didn't you follow me? And he said, well, you created space. If I had walked out, I would have wanted you to respect my space. So I respected you by respecting the space you created. And I'm like, oh, okay, it got lost in translation. Right. And there are so many things. A great example I can use, and I'll say I have not done a study to speak from a research perspective on the generalization I'm going to make right now. But one of the things that I've noticed a lot as a pattern is that in couples, for example, one partner is very impassionate and talking, and the other partner becomes silent. And the silence oftentimes is, I don't want to make matters worse. I don't want to increase this. If I answer, it's just going to explode. So I get silent. The partner who's talking tends to receive that silence as you don't care. Right. And our silence speaks volumes. The thing is that we never know what's actually saying. So being able to apply the actionable strategies that I have in the book helps us make sure our intentions are clearly reflected, or at least for us to catch what is our initial assumption, and is that assumption true to what the other person is trying to give me. So it has both from the side of the giver and the side of the receiver of the communication.
Yeah, and for sure, we all experience where we are pure in our intentions, and we know it. Pure. Now, sometimes people are passive aggressive, or they're partially passive aggressive, and it's not so black and white, right? There's times where maybe we are kind of like being a little passive aggressive, but mainly it's a joke. Okay. Other people, it is totally passive aggressive. And then they say, oh, I didn't mean that. And you know they did, right? Because you just know that person, right? But for the times where people are being pure in intention, there are a lot of misunderstandings, or true misunderstandings. I know, sometimes I'm just joking and it's taken the wrong way. And I'm thinking, no, I really was joking, because passive aggression is not my thing. I'm more straight. It's like either I'm aggressive or I'm friendly. So what's the learning thing here? Great. We know why we're fighting. You figured that out because of misunderstandings, really, if you want to put it in lay terms. What do we do to improve this situation?
All right, so there are a couple things that we can do. One, in the book, I differentiate that passive aggressiveness from what I call shit talking, right? When I'm shit talking with you, I'm a sarcastic individual, right? So I'll use my sarcasm in my humor. Not everybody receives sarcasm, right? So
Mm.
I'm able to express, hey, I'm just shit talking, and letting you know, like, are you partaking in this with me? So I'll talk about one of the last coping strategies that I added to the book, which I call the preamble. There are two functions to the preamble. The first function is me letting you know what I need from you, from an engagement, from a conversation. So let's say that I call you venting about a problem. Most people, when they are receiving a venting, they are thinking, well, what do you want from me? So I'm listening to you, and probably what you want is for me to give a solution to the problem that you're venting me about, right?
Mm. Mm.
Plus everything else that you're thinking about. So your response to me may be a solution to my problem. And now I start to
Mhm.
defend my problem and fight you on your solution. That's because I wasn't ready for that yet. I'm still in the venting space. So if I tell you, hey, would you mind, like, if I vented right now? I do not need you to give me a solution. I just need to release this. Are you open for that? And you get to say yes or no. I do that to my husband all the time. I say, you don't even need to pay attention to what I'm saying. Just like, I just need to externalize it. Can you do that? And he would do it to me as well. Sometimes he wants to say something, and because I am a helicopter wife, you're like, I need you not to act. I need you
Mm.
not to solve my problem. So I'm like, okay, so now I know what's expected of me. Right. So the other person knows what you want from them from the engagement, as opposed to having to guess and then possibly getting it wrong and turning into an argument.
Mm.
The secondary function of the preamble is me telling you the intention of what I want to say before swimming in a sea of wrong word choices.
Mm.
Right? We tend to we use wrong words a lot. We don't know what words can trigger the other person. But if I say, like, if you and I had, um, I don't know, an interaction that didn't sit well with me, the next day I can either just say, hey, I really didn't like what you did, which could trigger a defensiveness, or I can say, my preamble, in working in our relationship, I want to make sure that I don't let resentment sit in. So I just wanted to share my experience and then hear from yours as well. But the intention or the goal is for us to grow from it and to learn from it. Now, when you receive what I'm going to say, there's a little bit of grace in it, because you
Mm.
know my intention is not to
Mhm.
attack, but
Mhm.
it is to grow. Does that make sense?
It does. You have to, very interesting, and you have to have two people that are playing ball to do this.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
if you're like, because I've had interactions where I've done things like this now, because I'm thinking, I want to say something, but they're going to see it's going to blow up. So why don't I just gently say, okay, this is not a criticism. I just wanted to express how that landed for me. Already, if you're talking to the wrong person, they're already getting angry. What, and then you're thinking, why did I bother? So it's very important that the two people are on the same page about this communication style.
There is a coping strategy that I've developed actually with a really good friend of mine that did not make it into this book. He would go into the next one, but I call it the post conversation. And the post conversation is very specific. And I love how you said both people need to be participating. When we are arguing, both of us want to be heard, right? Sometimes I will start talking louder because I want to make sure that I'm heard, and now it's received as, you're yelling at me,
Mm.
right? But the thing with the post conversation, what's different is when we go into that, I want to learn about your experience of the situation. And I want you to learn about my experience of the situation, instead of I want you to hear where I came from, and you want me to tell you or understand where you came from.
Mm.
Right? So both of us need to be open to, how was your experience different from mine?
Mm.
And a lot of the times, our past experiences, our triggers, which color our perceptions, will lead to completely different experiences of the same event. Through
Yes.
the post conversation, what I've learned is We then identify, okay, so now I know how you see things, you know how I see things. What can we do? And one of the things that we use a lot, which is one of not the first one that I put here, but one of the first strategies that came from the IAP, are code words. The science behind code words is that, and a code word can be a word, a combination of words, right? A
Mhm.
sentence, a phrase, or just a gesture. But a code word must have a meaning, instructions to all parties involved, and
Mhm.
can only be used when warranted.
I've used this before. I
Ooh,
did this years ago. We
okay.
had a word that was just like, everything we got to let go when we use this word. This, right? It actually
Yeah.
did work, the code word.
with
Yeah.
with my one of my employees, one of the things was like, whenever I receive a message from me, right, so you're receiving a message from your boss, hey,
Mm.
we need to talk, immediately you kind of freak out.
Uh-oh.
So we incorporated code words where I had put, I think it was like, potato meant always an administrative thing, give me a call when you can. Hot
Mhm.
potato is about a client, we need to converse immediately.
Mm.
And then I think sanctuary means let's just debrief, right?
Mm.
So then it wasn't every time that I message, it would trigger an anxiety, because now we understand the intensity, right? Or the meaning behind the messages.
Yes, yes, you're like, "Oh, phew, not so bad." Okay, so interesting. How do people so this is great with relationships. How do people use this in the workplace?
Ooh, okay. Couple different ways. One of them, so for the person delivering the message, right? And when I came up with the 3 columns of communication, it was actually in relation to conversing with a client, right? There's a difference between in the first column, so 3 columns, right? The first column is the venting. If you're talking with like your employee, sometimes you're frustrated, you may want to vent. Let's say that I gave my employee, something to like a project to do, and I don't hear back from them. And silence to me means that you're not doing anything.
Mm,
But maybe to that employee, they learned that you don't, like, unless I have something completed, I don't show you. So I'll only show you the product at the end,
yes. This is
right?
common, actually. It's common that they
It's
don't think they
very
should
common.
communicate at all about progress. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, some people need, like, I need to know the status in spite of changing status, and other people
Mhm.
will only communicate in change of status. So,
Mm,
my venting, I may say, you're not doing anything. I can trust you. Column 2, after you vent, not to the individual, you can vent. I usually say vent in the shower. You have the water heating you, it's muffled by the noise, or you can, journal, you can vent it in so many different ways. You go into column 2, which is deciphering the message. Why do I want this person to receive this message? What purpose will it serve? And what is my expectation in return? Right? So I use questions to guide you to figure out what is the message I want them to receive. And
mm,
column 3 is what's the best delivery method for that individual. If I don't have one, we fall into the I statement, and I talk about the do's and don'ts of the I statement because people use it wrong so often.
mm,
But it really helps with identifying, like, what's the actual message I want my employee or my customer to receive, and how can I reflect it in the best way possible without venting, because when I vent, I go into tangents and things that take me away from the actual message.
mm. Okay, so this sounds so hard. Like, why is it so hard to communicate? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? I'm just joking with you, but when I think about all the stuff we have to do just to communicate with our other human beings, the philosophical question is why is there so much misunderstanding, and why are we all so messed up? you know?
The answer is actually quite simple. It's because we're all born in so many different ways, right? I will react to words, to behaviors, and to people based on how I grew up, how I interact to the world, and how the world interacted with me. So your religion, your race, your ethnicity, your culture can impact when you hear certain words or see certain actions that to some people wouldn't matter. The simplest example I can give, if I go back to relationships really quick, if I've never been cheated on before and my partner picks up a call and go to the next room, I may not notice, or I may notice
Mm,
and not even care. My frame of mind must be, oh my God, the signal here must have been really bad. But if I had been cheated before, not by
mm,
this partner, or maybe even by this partner, I don't know, but let's say not from this partner, And my partner takes a phone call, goes into the next room. And I'm like,
Mm,
suspicious.
mm,
So my past interactions impact how I
yes.
receive every communication.
Mm. Okay, so what is a little checklist of very like simple checklist that people can start doing to communicate better and to stop fighting and arguing, and because it's
Okay.
stressful, people are stressed out with the misunderstandings, right? Just to let's what I like is like I like a drama free life. Okay, zero,
Okay.
I call it a zero drama life. I really don't like the energy and time it takes for misunderstandings. It's really not my thing. It's like I'd rather just like not have that happen. So I call it I want a zero drama life. Okay,
Okay.
how do people get a zero drama life regarding communications? The checklist, short checklist.
Short checklist. The power of pausing. Pause. Instead of reacting, respond. So the rule of three interpretations, right? When something happens, there's a fact that happens. This person did not call me when they said they were going to call me. My immediate thought, a lot of the times we go to worst case scenarios, they are going to break up with me, right? I ask you to pause and identify two other alternatives. If you go to worst case scenario, for balance sake, best case scenario, and neutral. So they were caught
Mm,
up at work, their battery died, the phone battery died. Once you have all three, choose the one that serves you best. So first, pause. Second, I've been calling this a cognitive filter. This is one that I use a lot. Before something comes out of my mouth, it goes through the filter. What purpose does it serve? What purpose does it serve the relationship? So there was one time that I'm in the car and I noticed my husband was in a great mood. I was not. And I was about to make a comment that I knew was going to bring him down to my level. And before the comment came out, it went through that filter. What purpose will it serve me? And in answering, I said, it will bring him down to my level, but I would actually prefer to go up to his. So it caused me to pause and not say what I was going to say, and instead try to figure out what do I want to do to shift my mood, which took me to my mantra, continuous bad mood is a choice. So
mm,
we have pause, we have the cognitive filter. Um, I'm trying to think what would be another quick one. Through being the preamble, the rule of three interpretations, code words, ask instead of making a statement, right? Ask back,
mm,
like, what did you mean? When I take something as I become defensive. I took something as an attack. Again, that pause comes in and ask, what did you mean? Right? What was the message that you wanted to give? Focus on the behavior. I can say, I perceived it or I received what you said as this. Am I correct or am I wrong? So instead of
mm.
reacting, pause, ask, confirm that what you heard is actually what the other person said.
Right. Okay, I love that. Because what you're saying is we really have to give people a chance
Yeah.
and give some grace and not be so quick to react. And that's philosophical. It's in the Bible, it's everywhere, right? So just basically give people a chance to redeem themselves in your eyes before you speak, right? Just
Yeah,
give the
for
benefit of the
sure.
doubt. Now, for sure, for sure, some people don't deserve the benefit of the doubt because there are
Yes.
people that are, and I remember my friends used to say to me, "Why do you always defend people?" And I said, "I'm just trying to see the best in them, and I'm trying to see if there was maybe some other motive for them doing or saying that." And my friends would be like, "No, there's not. Stop defending people." I said, "Well, I don't really see it that way." And they're like, "Well, it looks that way." But it wasn't that. It was, well, maybe that's not what they meant, or maybe it's not as bad. But I can see that that is annoying for people that don't have that point of view that I have.
Yeah, but I appreciate the benefit of the doubt, right? Because we don't know what the other person is going through. We know what we're going through,
Mm,
but we don't necessarily know what the other person is going through. We make assumptions based on the facade that we see,
mm, for
right?
sure. Yeah.
Another easy thing that I would say, gratitude is huge. A lot of
Mm,
the times, especially if we're in a combative relationship where everything that I hear is a complaint or a criticism, I would always ask my clients the first thing, implement gratitude. If you are thankful for something, say it. If, oh, thank you for going to Publix. Thank you for, work with. Thank you for completing all of the notes. Thank you for doing the things on time. everything that is worthy of a thank you, thank them. The reason
Mm.
for it is, one, I want to be acknowledged for the things that I'm doing well, right? If I am
Yes.
only chastised for the complaints and not acknowledged for what I'm doing well, then why
Mhm.
am I going to try to do things well?
Exactly.
Two, think of classical conditioning. When you see this person that you're continuously receiving complaints from open their
Mm.
mouths, immediately your body's going to contract and you're going to get ready for a fight. What's coming my way?
Mm.
If I don't know when you open your mouth if I'm going to get a thank you or an F you, then that ambivalence may not lead to an immediate contraction of my body and an immediate defense
Mm.
or attack positioning,
For
right?
sure.
But that requires consistency in the gratitude in the household.
Got it. Okay, well, that's very helpful. I think there's a lot there for people to try to do, that little short checklist. That's helpful. Thank you so much. What's something what's your philosophy or one small mindset you want to leave people with?
Oh my God. Okay. One is not all actions are universal. So when you say actions speak louder than words, if I don't know what your action is saying, I'm going to assume it from my point of view.
Got it. So it doesn't
And
speak louder than words
it
sometimes.
does
Sometimes you're
no.
misinterpreting it.
You need
Right.
to make sure that you read the manual as to what
Mm.
that intention was telling me. And the other one of my mantra is a repetition of the state of mind you want to be in, is
Mm.
better some than none, better
Better.
something than nothing.
Okay. Awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
Patricia, thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you very much for listening. Now, you can subscribe and share and tell people about this, and we will see you on the next amazing episode. You're listening to the Business Wealth Impact Podcast, your source for empowering information and cutting edge ideas from the world's top minds. I'm your host, Jeanne Amlour, founder of seven-figure coaching company, Jeanne Amlour International. Join me on a journey to unleash your potential and create your highest success. Welcome to Business Wealth Impact.